Good morning, my friends. Happy Tuesday. And yes, it is sunny in San Diego, I have to say. But this isn't a weather report. I don't know why I always start with the weather. It's like the most uninteresting thing on the planet. But there you go. Old habits die hard. Today, a serious issue. Scams and fakes. But before we get into that, let me just do a little quick reminder of who I am. And for those of you who are new here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. Or for those of you who aren't new here, in case you've forgotten. So I'm Andrea Kuchin, and whoa, we're in bright pink today. Actually, I didn't realize quite how good a match that was. So there it is, Andrea Kuchin, that's me. You can call or text me on 858-252-1190. And I actually really do pick up the phone. So that'll be me. If you want to email me, if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, something to offer me, something that I did that you didn't like, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Andrea at PhD in Follow-Up. This is my home biz tips presented by PhD in Follow-Up. PhD in Follow-Up has been around for about almost a decade. And we started off with helping people with connecting follow-up. That was the idea. And then we realized that a lot of the businesses we were working with didn't actually have a marketing strategy as such. So we helped them and we expanded marketing strategy that went on to business admin, that went on to developing other income streams like books and courses, training, products that might fit in with you to create more residual income. And that eventually became investment opportunities as well. So we've seen loads of opportunities and we operate several different opportunities, but not everything we've been offered. Why? Because they're not all real. For a little bit more background information, phdinfollowup.com/Andrea Kuchin. There's a little bit of information about me there. And if you're not in the Facebook group, hop over and join the Facebook group. It's called PhD in Follow-Up, all about more loyal customers and referrals for busy business owners. That's a bit of a laugh, isn't it? Because we're all busy business owners, aren't we? Today's episode is called How to Protect Yourself from Scams and Fakes. And why is it important? Well, heck, because you can have your identity stolen, because you can have your money stolen, because you can have your friends stolen, your reputation ruined, blah, 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 if you don't know what to look for. So let's start, because it's a quicker subject, with Facebook. I get loads of requests to friend me on Facebook. I haven't seen the same thing happening on LinkedIn yet. I'm not as familiar with the LinkedIn platform as I am with Facebook, but I'm sure it's going to happen over there. And by the time it does, I'll have figured out the rules for that. But where it comes to Facebook, the reason I see this happening, and I know that people aren't quite as aware of what to look for as I might be, and that's simply because I'm fanatical about details and I will dig and dig and dig and dig on something, pull a string, whatever it is. I'm a bit like a dog with a bone. I really want to know all the details and everything about things. That's why I sometimes think, hang on a minute, those two things don't match up together. So I'm not a trained expert, but I am a researcher because I was trained that way after however many years of school and university and doing dissertations and writing books and all the rest of it. That is just my inquiring mind. The rest of it is experience and knowledge. So we start with Facebook. I get friend requests on Facebook from people I don't know who apparently know a lot of people that I know or are connected to people that I know. So some of the people I know aren't as good at spotting a fake as I am. But when someone wants to be your friend on Facebook, look them up before you accept. Don't just accept them based on who else has accepted them. And these are the things to look out for. First of all, is it a pretty Oriental girl? Most of them seem to be pretty Oriental girls, and they have lots of pictures of them in beautiful restaurants, wearing beautiful clothes, eating beautiful meals. And they're taken in all sorts of exotic places like Paris or New York, and they were all posted within a 3-day period. Now, I don't know how you operate, but I would find it very difficult to get from Paris to New York, look glamorous, and be in gorgeous places within a 3-day period, especially if I've also been in Hong Kong and I've also had lunch in a restaurant in, I don't know, Jakarta or something like that. Okay. These are not real accounts, right? And the other question you could ask yourself is, if I'm in business and I'm connecting to people on Facebook for business reasons, then do I want a young Oriental girl who has thousands of pictures of clothes and food? Because unless her business is clothing and food, how is she going to help my community grow? What is she going to contribute to the community? There's a lot of people who are very focused on me, and what it's going to do for me. And don't I look gorgeous? And aren't I lucky that I can, be on the Empire State Building or whatever it is one day, and, the Eiffel Tower the next. But my community, and I'm assuming you, is more focused on how can I contribute? How can I help the world? So you would ask yourself, could somebody like that contribute to my community? Because you don't have to accept everybody. So if they're new, if their Facebook account is relatively new, and they've got loads of pictures that were all posted within, 3 or 4 days, the chances are it's not a real account. Then you look at who's friended them. You look at the posts that they've posted. Some of these accounts with lots of gorgeous pictures have got no proper posts. Again, it's unlikely to be a real account if there aren't proper posts, and therefore I would not friend that person. So go through your Facebook account now and see if there are some people there whose accounts are kind of weird. Of course, they are not all beautiful Oriental women. Some of them are other people, and some of them are using photographs from people you might already know. Now, I cottoned onto this when I started getting loads of friend requests from people I know in real life. And I thought to myself, that's weird. I'm sure we're already friends on Facebook. And I went into my Facebook account to find, lo and behold, I am already friends with George and Jane. They're already friends on Facebook. So who is this George or Jane who's trying to reach out to me? So I would open the profile, and it was an account that had been opened 3 days before. And the only picture of George or Jane is the one in the profile. And there may be one other picture of a flower or something, and they want to be my friend. Again, no posts, no proper history, location unrealistic, like this person lives in San Diego where I live, and the account says that they live in Adelaide. It's like, how? Just look out for inconsistencies, okay? And anybody who's inconsistent or a duplicate of somebody you know, or isn't connected to anybody you know, or isn't connected to anybody you trust that you know, who, checks for things like that, just beware. And when you've got a few spare minutes, you're sitting on your phone waiting for the dentist or something, scroll through Facebook and see if there are some people who don't look real who you could delete, because it's totally okay to unfriend people. Okay, that's how to spot a fake person on Facebook. And I expect it's similar on other social media platforms. What do you do about an opportunity? And the reason this came up is because someone I do trust and care about came to me recently and said, those investment things that you do, I've just found one that I think is fab. And I said, great, I'll look at it. What research have you done? And that person said, what do you mean research? There are some testimonials that look good, and I heard about it in a group that we're both in. Okay, a Facebook group that we're both in. Now, because we're both in the same Facebook group doesn't mean that I've vetted everybody in the Facebook group and I know that all the opportunities are real. So my first alarm bell was that this hadn't been introduced by someone who had a connection to my friend. It was something my friend had gone to find. Now, I like opportunities that are introduced to me by people I know and trust, who got them from people they know and trust, who preferably have a connection, a direct connection, either to the founders or people who know the founders personally and knew them before the business even came into existence. That's how I like to work. I'm a networker, what can I say? But I do like connecting dots as well. So if that doesn't apply, that doesn't necessarily mean the thing's fake, and I'm not going to touch it. What I am saying is that I have a flag system, if you like. It's all in my mind. Maybe one day I'll write it down. In fact, that's not a bad name for it, my flag system. And that would be a little red flag. I don't know where it comes from or who started it. Okay, so the next thing, obviously, is to look at their promotional material to see what that looks like. And it's sometimes a Facebook page or a Facebook post or a Facebook group. And I have a look at the other people involved. And then at some point, I'm going to look at their website. Now, I'm looking for certain things on their website. Like, does it feel solid? Does it look like a real website? Does it have all the terms and conditions and things in the footer? Does it have an About Us page? Because again, I want to know who I'm dealing with. And on the About Us page, do the people look real? Do they have bios? Now, it takes time to read all this and do all this research. It can take you a couple of days, but isn't it worth it? I mean, first of all, you don't want to miss an opportunity that turns out to have been real. You wouldn't want to then sort of find years later that, gosh, those people that told me about that stupid cryptocurrency thingy jig, if only I'd bought Bitcoin, I'd be a millionaire now. So you don't want to miss those opportunities. But you also don't want to invest $20,000 or $30,000 into something that turns out to have been a complete Ponzi scheme. And a Ponzi scheme will always start off looking great and can run for months, even a year or so before it collapses. But it will always collapse. I'll talk about that again later, or maybe on another one. But I'm looking for who's in the company. And then I will choose a couple of people in the company who have names that are slightly less unusual. In other words, if there's a co-founder called John Smith and there's a COO called Andrea Kuchin, I'm more likely to look up Andrea Kuchin because it's going to be easier to find because it's a more unusual name than John Smith. And I will go to LinkedIn and look for a profile. And I expect to find one, and I'll have a quick flick through there. If I don't, that's another red flag. Then I will go to Facebook and I will look for a profile, and the same applies. If I don't see one, that's a red flag. If I do see one, I'm going to have a quick look through it to see if it's real or not, or if it looks real, if it's years old and it's got pictures of the kids and, oh, I'm just launching my new business and so on and so forth, then that's real. If they haven't posted for a long time, that doesn't necessarily bother me. I don't post very often either. I just forget. If they post obsessively, that might not bother me too much. If it's all business and no personal stuff, I just might register that thought. But as long as there's a Facebook identity, profile, that means that person exists, right? Then I look at what they do in business. Hopefully, they've mentioned the fact that they're involved in this business opportunity that I'm now reviewing. If they haven't, that would be a red flag. So there are two ways of figuring that out. You can either reach out to the person on Facebook and say, hey, are you involved in this business? Or you can go back to the website and do a search. Now, what I recommend you do, because sometimes you'll see that the photograph of the person does not match the social media profile, in which case that's not the real person. Because you might find that the owner is called Andrea Kuchin, but she's a 23-year-old black girl, which is obviously not me. So again, they've created an identity in order to create a team of this company. So if it's the pictures look odd, or you can't find a profile in social media of that person by name, look up the photograph. And you do this by clicking on the photograph and copying what it says. If the SEO on the website has been done correctly, and again, this would apply if it were a real company, it'll say something like Andrea's promo photo, or Andrea at her desk, or Andrea Kuchin at her desk in blah, blah company, or blah, blah corporation CEO, Andrea Kuchin. I love the way I'm mocking myself up here. Or it'll say, John Smith, owner of blah, blah company, if the SEO has been done well, if it's a real business. But not all real businesses do their SEO well. So it might just say image something, doodle something or other. Copy that and put it into Google. But when you do your search on Google, click photo, and it will search actually for that photo. Now, the interesting thing I found the other day is that that same young man, who was apparently the founder or the CEO of this wonderful opportunity, is also founder and CEO and testimonial giver and financial expert of 7 or 8 other companies, but his name is different on all of them. Big red flags. Okay, look for things like that. And I know I said it takes time, but it doesn't take that much time. You know, hours, if you compare that to the loss that you could experience if you jumped in on a scam or a Ponzi scheme, you really don't want to go there. So it's worth checking things out. So we're looking at the photographs. Then what I found with this company the other day was that the other photographs that were used on the website that I was reviewing of people who were giving testimonials or other members of the team had also been used in the other websites where this so-called CEO appeared. So there was a whole series of websites offering similar things that had been set up by somebody, and they just used the same photographs, which is kind of dumb, really. But the reason they can get away with it is because people don't check. So you're going to be smart from now on. You are going to check. So that's eliminated the people. Then we look at the place, right? We look at the place. And this particular company, again, I don't know how they managed to do it, but they said, where I think on the contact us page, or maybe down at the bottom, they said, we're incorporated in the USA. Great, you're incorporated in the USA. But the address they gave was in the United Kingdom, which is kind of odd because you'd expect an American address. But again, kind of odd doesn't mean it's a scam. So I checked the address in the United Kingdom. Would you believe it? I was absolutely delighted to see that it's a stone's throw away from my brother's house. Yeah, it's kind of almost in the country near Cheltenham, right? How weird is that? So I looked for it on Google Maps, and then I researched it through Google Maps to see that it is a fitness facility that does have some businesses in it, but most of them are related to fitness, not to finance, which is what this was. So again, that was kind of like, odd that a financial company that's incorporated in the United States, that has a team, most of whom look as though they're probably from the Philippines, would be in an office in the middle of the country in England. They also, on their website, but again, that doesn't mean it's a scam. It's just another red flag. Then they also very proudly presented a license on their website. And when you click on the license, it's a web page. In other words, it's not a printable document. Now, again, that's kind of odd. A license is usually a printable document. So you'd expect it to be the size and shape of a piece of paper. It could be A4 if it's English, or it could be US letter. This was not. If you had tried to print it, it would have been incredibly long, but there was no page break. Again, it just made me think, odd. But there was an organization mentioned, and they were licensed by this organization. So I looked that organization up. They don't have a proper website. All they have is a Facebook page. Okay. Their Facebook page shows them to be, now I wasn't thinking at the time that I was going to create a video about this, so I didn't write anything down. This is all from memory. But it's an organization that licenses educational companies, educational organizations. So even if they are licensed as an educational organization, they're not licensed to deal with my money. So that's irrelevant. And it gave a name or an address or something on that document. This company is licensed this company is licensed by us. This company, that wasn't the same name as the company that I was looking at. So why would they show me a license from a different company? Anyway, just to be on the safe side, I looked this company up, and it is a legitimate registered company in the United Kingdom. So I thought, okay, that fits. But it's registered in Scotland. The address of the company was in Scotland. Now, had the address on the website been in Scotland as well, I would have thought, okay, so they're registered in the United States, but they have an office in Scotland. But the fact that they're supposed to be in Scotland, but they're actually in England, and they say they're registered in the US, it's just red flags. Now, for me, for this particular company, that was connected to the red flags of the names of the names not being searchable anywhere. So all the offices of the company, because I searched several of them, the offices of the company didn't have profiles on LinkedIn or Facebook. Also, I found that the same photographs were used elsewhere with different names. So they were obviously models, right? So all those things added up made it obvious to me that this wasn't a real company. Now, there were testimonials, and those testimonials could easily have been real. This is where we get onto the Ponzi scheme thing. Okay, so they say you invest a certain amount of money with them, and over a period of time, they will pay you a certain amount of interest. The timeframes were crazy, and the amounts of interest were extremely high. And that always makes me think it's kind of too good to be true. And I know everything I offer is too good to be true, but it is true. So just because it's too good to be true, or that's what people think about it, doesn't mean to say that it is actually not true. It could be true. So again, that's not going to discount things, but they gave guaranteed interest, right? Guaranteed interest. Now that bothers me when it's a high amount. Oh, you can guarantee to pay somebody 1% interest per month, because that's such a tiny amount of money. It's easy to pay. But guaranteeing to pay somebody 30% a day or something is just, and I'm not saying that's what it was. It's not possible. Even guaranteeing to pay somebody 10% per month is not real. You can pay someone 10% per month, but you can't guarantee it. because things go up and down and you could have a bad month, or you might stop trading because things are too shaky, the market's too volatile. You can't guarantee that much unless it's coming from something else. So if you're trading, you can't guarantee it, but maybe it comes from somewhere else. I'm working with a company that guarantees 4.15 per month, but it comes from somewhere else. It doesn't come from their trading. It comes from somewhere else, which is why they're able to guarantee it. Okay, so I've looked into it, and there are explanations in various places from various people about how that 4.15% is paid. You also need to put in a significant amount of money for that to happen. You've got to put in $2,000, right? You can't get that kind of money on $30 or something. Can't be done. So when people guarantee a return, that is another kind of a red flag, because on trading, there are no guarantees. It could be 100% wiped out tomorrow. So there's no way they can guarantee. And then you've got to do the maths. So here's the maths. One of the companies that I work with, you can start an account at $100, but I wouldn't do that because their regular monthly fee is $25 a month. Now, they've been in existence since June, I think, 2019, and they have consistently paid an average of 3% per week, right? Which works out to approximately, maybe-ish on average, 10, 11% per month, right? Which means that if you put in $100, you're going to make 10. So there won't be enough money to pay your $25 monthly fee, right? So I would recommend you start with 300, because that way the chances are you might make 30. You're probably going to make the 25, and you might make a little bit more, right? Because you want to make sure that anything extra you're putting in is covered by what you make. Now, there are people who tell me that's a Ponzi scheme because I'm paying $25 a month. It is not a Ponzi scheme because the maths doesn't work out. Because, first of all, I was in it for 8 months without having introduced anybody at all. So where would the $25 be coming from that paid my monthly money if there's nobody beneath me putting it in, right? A lot of these Ponzi schemes, you don't even get paid unless you bring people in, right? You don't even earn interest on your own money until you've brought people in. That is because they're paying you with the money that people are putting in. That is a Ponzi scheme. They're taking money from Peter to pay Paul. Now, that exists everywhere to a degree. But if that is all that the company is doing, then it's illegal and you don't want to be involved because it will crash. So when somebody says, oh, there are all these testimonials and I put some money in 2 days ago and I've already made some interest, that's because people are putting money in, which is paying for your money, right? It is money that other people are putting in that pays you for 2 or 3 days. It might even be 2 or 3 months. But at some point, when the number of people coming in slows down or nobody's recruiting, it's not going to work. Now, in my company where I pay the $25 a month, 70% of the members do not promote at all. So they're not going to be generating masses of money coming in every month that can pay for the people who were already in. So they must be getting it from somewhere else. So they must be trading. Also, there's a complete history of the money they've been making since the beginning that you can look into. So I know that that's a safe bet. But when somebody says, I can give them $30 and they're going to give me, I can't remember what the percentage was, but I'm sure you could start with $30. It was a big percentage. It was so tempting. It really hurt when I realized that this was not real. And it's obviously not real when your CEO doesn't exist. I mean, it's obviously fake when that happens. Added to it that everything else didn't look real. There were so many red flags. So I explained to my friend and a couple of other people, well, someone else that he was going to introduce. And I said, this is what I found. And the decision made was not to continue. Because when you're in a Ponzi scheme, at some point, somebody is going to miss out. And a few years ago, that was me and my very best friend and my mother. And that absolutely killed me. So I thought, okay, moving forward, I'm going to have to pay more attention. And that was real people connections face to face. And it still turned out, well, it wasn't a scam. It was a Ponzi scheme. And there's a reason that they're illegal, because they only work at the very beginning. And that, my friends, is half an hour. And I think I've done enough for today. I think I've told you everything I wanted to tell you. The important thing is do some research, look around, check out the people involved in these opportunities, and check out information that they put on the website. See if you can find the people, see if you can find some more information, and start off with seeing if you can find some real live people that you can trust who are involved in it themselves. And that is all I have to say for today. So join the Facebook group if you're not in it already. PhD and Follow Up is the Facebook group. PhDandFollowUp.com is the website. More information about me at PhDandFollowUp.com/Andrea Kuchin. If I have said anything today that you want to contradict, that you want more information about, or you didn't understand, or you want some help, email me, Andrea@PhDandFollowUp.com, or text me, or pick up the phone and give me a call. I will answer if I can. And in case you've forgotten who I am, my name is Andrea Kuchin, and I hope that I have given you something of value today, which will make you wiser about making decisions about business in general and who to connect with in the future. And with that said, I am going to wish you very well and hope to see you here again next week. With all my love, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.